This episode of Commercial Drones FM features co-founder of Redbird, Emmanuel and Maistre. Between the time of recording and now, however, Redbird as a company was actually bought by Airware. When this interview took place, the news was completely unknown to both myself and the public. But either way, this episode gives some great context into what Airware's strategy may have been for purchasing Redbird and what Redbird as a company had been working towards in the mining industry, aggregates, and construction. So it gives some really nice insight into what may have been going on behind the scenes. And now that we know this information, it's a little bit more juicy and interesting to listen to this interview. So thanks again for joining, Emmanuel. Best of luck in the new venture. Congratulations on the sale of the company, and enjoy your new role in Airware. Enjoy the rest of the show. Welcome to CommercialDrones.fm, the podcast that explores the commercial drone industry, the people who power it, and the concepts that drive it. I'm your host, Ian Smith. Hey everyone, welcome to Commercial Drones FM. Today I'm sitting here in San Francisco with Emmanuel and Maistre, who is the co-founder and CEO of Redbird, a French drone data company, and he is also the founder and chairman of the French Commercial Drone Association, or FPDC. Redbird has offices in Paris and San Francisco, and Emmanuel has been in the drone industry since 2012. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you very much, Ian.
Thank you very much for being here. First things first, can you describe Redbird to somebody who might not know what it is?
Yeah, we're basically a drone data analytics company, which means we develop a cloud software for processing the drone data, but also for extracting the key information and reports that our customers are looking for. And we have a specific focus on construction, mines, quarries, and some heavy industries.
Excellent. Cool. So we'll dive into that a little bit later on. But first of all, your background actually didn't really start in drones. Where did it begin?
I was a biotech engineer at the beginning, and I used to launch a biotech startup, which I sold actually a few years ago. And because I had a bit of time first and money, I became a private pilot for the fun of it. I got this pilot license in 2012, which is exactly the same year where we had a new drone regulation published in France. Mm-hmm. And that's how I started to have a look first in drones. I understood it was like open, the regulation was opening a new market. And that was a very interesting industry to begin a new startup.
So just for some context, we met in France whenever I was working for Delairtech in Toulouse. And you guys, at that time, kind of started as a drone service company. And it looks like you've kind of had some evolutions as time has gone on. Maybe you can tell us about how the company Redbird has advanced in the past years.
Sure. Well, most tech startups evolve, of course, in terms of business model and strategy. In our case, we used to buy and fly drones, so we used to do kind of service for 1 year. But one of the reasons for that was also to discover the needs of the customer and what the people were able to do with drone data. What we discovered is that construction and mining was obviously a very interesting space in terms of customer need, market maturity. Mm-hmm. Plus, we also met and worked with a Caterpillar dealer in France that definitely helped us to develop a very nice and dedicated product in that industry.
And so why did you choose San Francisco out of all cities to expand in the United States? What about San Francisco attracted you here?
Well, it's a nice city, obviously, but it's also the place where most of the investors in the US are active. And because we are raising money and we will continue to raise money probably, I think it was very good for us to stay close to the financing ecosystem. As a consequence, also San Francisco is definitely the core of the Redbird, the core of the drone industry with dozens of drone startups. And it's very nice to meet other drone entrepreneurs and partners.
Agreed. Yeah, good to see you here.
Thanks.
So you have a pretty important partnership going back with Caterpillar. This is a very unique partnership as far as it goes with the current state of the drone industry. Can you tell us a little bit about just what you guys do together? I mean, what was the purpose of this partnership?
Yeah, well, it's a long story, but to to summarize it shortly, I would say it's a commercial partnership. It's a sales and marketing partnership first. And we have some kind of technical partnership where we co-develop a product together. But it's important to understand that Caterpillar is making a big push in digital. And that drone data is going to be used by the Caterpillar customer and by the Caterpillar dealers a lot. So as Caterpillar is trying to sell solutions rather than just machines, they need this let's say this drone brick, or they need drone data as part of the entire package that they will sell very soon.
So there's a lot of sensors, if I'm not mistaken, like, you know, inside those machines. How much does one of those excavators cost?
Well, it can be from $500,000 to, for some other machines, several million US dollars.
Okay. So whenever you buy one of those, if you're a construction or a mining company, number one, you expect the darn thing to work. Number two, you want to make sure that you can, I guess, maximize the output of it. So are you saying that the drone is just going to like kind of augment these machines on the job site and just really kind of take it to the next level?
Absolutely. Well, when you buy a machine, you have to make sure you will have the highest productivity with that machine, because it's very costly to acquire, it's costly to operate. And drone is today the perfect tool and the perfect sensor to frequently monitor the production that is happening on a construction site or on a mining site or even a quarry.
And so there's sensors inside these machines as well that are providing data. Are you guys tying into those sensors for providing these analytics for the mining and construction companies?
We do, and I would say we're basically interested in any kind of data on the job site or on the mining site. It's very interesting to see how many data is generated on the site today, but how it's definitely poorly managed today as well. And it's interesting to see, for example, we just announced a few days ago a partnership with an explosive company. These guys drill and blast rock on mines and quarries.
Nice.
They generate data. Why don't we take advantage of that data and we combine it with the terrain data, which is acquired by drones?
How do you mean? So you blow some stuff up and then you make sure that they blew it up correctly?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And it's probably not something a lot of people know, but explosives are expensive. And you have to drill and blast the right way for the machine to process the blast efficiently.
Gotcha. Okay. So why are these companies blasting? What is the purpose of them? What are they blowing up here?
They are blowing rocks, basically, and rocks
Okay.
are going to be processed into aggregates, or they are going to be processed to extract some other minerals and ore.
And so an aggregate is like the stockpiles, like things like that?
Correct. Sand,
Okay.
rock, aggregate.
Interesting. Okay, cool. And so, yeah, I keep up with you on social media and everything, and I always see pictures of you out in some location, usually in the middle of nowhere on a huge mine. So what are you usually doing out there on those mines and quarries?
It's probably like when I'm on a mine or on a job site, it's probably to meet a customer, of course. And it's also usually to make a demo. It's very interesting to see that a lot of customers today are asking for demos. We are definitely in the right time in terms of customer traction. But the first step before convincing and signing a customer is usually to make some kind of testing with their own data.
And what do you see their reaction to these drones are? I mean, is it mostly positive? Is it neutral at first? Are they skeptical?
I would say it's incredibly positive, but I would say as well that what makes the deal is definitely the data and the software. And I would say everybody has been discussing about drones for years, but no one has found out yet the way they will manage the data. And the right way to sign a customer is to show them the best data processing and data analytics solution.
And what are some of those kinds of like pieces of data? Like, what are the big things that make them very happy? Maybe I can twist the question a little. And what's like maybe a use case? Like, what's a scenario where in the past it was very difficult to accomplish, or unsafe, or expensive, or time consuming, and now Redbird software is helping the customer just make that way better?
Yeah, we could speak about, for example, productivity. all these machines are, let's say, burning fuel and are moving on the site. And one of the features of the software that we developed is a way to make sure that the site is properly designed to ensure the highest productivity and the lowest fuel consumption. To do such a study before, you needed to send a guy for, let's say, 1 or 2 weeks on the site, and it was long, it was expensive, and it was very unsafe as well. We have other features, other analytics about safety, for example. We're able to tell a customer if the site is compliant or not with the regulation, especially the AMSHA regulation. It's the Mining Health and Safety Authority. And the customer definitely wants to see if some places, some location are a breach versus the regulation.
Gotcha. And so you were saying something about the design of the site can play a big role in, like, was it fuel consumption? Correct. Or something?
Yep.
So you guys can do some analytics by flying the drone over and then optimizing?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
At least we give the information to the customer, and it's up to the customer to take a decision. So that's why we like to compare data and decisions, and decision will lead to increase of productivity.
Data-driven decisions. There we go.
Correct.
Cool. Okay. That's awesome. Very, very, really interesting stuff. I've been tracking what you guys have been up to with that, and I always found it very fascinating. So it's good to be able to share it on the podcast here. What about construction industry? Is it similar to mining, or do you think that they're having an entirely different set of problems that you guys help them solve?
I would say it's definitely different from mining. First, they will fly on smaller sites, but they will fly more frequently. And I definitely expect most construction customers to fly every day, very soon.
Okay.
And I definitely hope that the drone will be able to fly autonomously one day.
So now, no human, no setup, whatever, it just kind of takes off.
That will come, that's for sure. Maybe not everywhere, not in every country, but that will come for sure. So data will be generated, and instead of going on the site every day and meeting physically in a room every day, drone will acquire data on the job site, and this data will be shared daily to the people on the site, the superintendent, the customer himself, etc.
What do you think about a really quick kind of tangent here? So the other day I was playing around with some virtual reality gear. Have you ever tried like the Oculus or the HTC Vive? What do you, so yeah, drones can make 3D models with photogrammetry. Do you foresee, like in a not so distant future, can you imagine a construction or mining team or a site using virtual reality or augmented reality?
Yeah, and it's already the case.
Oh, really?
Well, in some cases, and I've heard some Caterpillar products or maybe partner product made of augmented reality gears and augmented reality software. And that's maybe to manage the site and maybe also to maintain a machine. And so many use cases will be around virtual reality on the site.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I can just imagine. I mean, Google Glass like kind of had a failure because they targeted it towards consumers, but I think they're revamping that and targeting it more towards maybe enterprise. So, it makes sense. Like how often when you're on the job site are the workers and the folks on the site wearing like protective glasses? Like pretty
100%.
Yeah, 100%. So why not just throw like a little augmented reality screen? Okay.
That's a new idea and a new startup for the people that are listening to the podcast, right?
There we go. We'll take a few percentage points of equity on that. Awesome. So yeah, the integration and your partnership with Caterpillar is pretty incredible. What about safety? Having drones on the work site, the job site for construction and mining. You mentioned safety before. I saw on your really nice new website that there's a section on increasing safety. So how are drones and how is Redbird software helping companies, construction and mining companies increase safety on the job sites these days?
So flying a drone will be safer because people won't have to, let's say, walk on the site where it's sometimes very dangerous, especially when the surveyors have to walk on stockpiles. They have to get quite close to the quarry faces, and sometimes machines are very dangerous as well on the site. But the other part is that we can use drone data, especially processed and analyzed data, to identify some safety-related analytics. One example are, let's say, the safety blocks and safety berms that are some specific blocks displayed along the road. They must stick to certain criteria. They must be.
This is on a mining, on a mine
or a quarry. They must be high enough. The drone, the drone software can detect whether a safety block and a safety berm is high enough versus the regulation.
Oh, great!
And that will give an information to the site manager, maybe to fix some safety blocks and safety berms, and maybe avoid some very, very heavy fines.
Excellent. So your software is very, very specialized. I just want to point that out. So there's a lot of different, it's all cloud-based, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So there's a lot of other different cloud-based softwares out there. It seems like some of them kind of do some specialization and some are a little bit more general. So I really like the approach that you guys have taken, really focusing on safety for construction and mining. If we turn the tables a little bit, if I went and asked one of your customers about Redbird and I said, "What's your favorite thing about it?" What do you think some of them would say?
User friendliness. It's impressive to see how easily the customer can use our software, especially in that industry, construction, mining, especially construction and quarries have not been used to software that much. It's a very conservative industry. They are adopting technology quite late compared to other industries. So we definitely need to develop and to propose a very easy to use, easy to understand software. And the second thing they love is collaboration. Because it's easy, anyone can connect and very quickly understand what's going on the site with even no expertise in data. And that's also unique, brand new in the construction quarry industry.
Perfect. Collaboration. Yeah, it's all about making that data easy to move around and easy to look at. So what's your favorite part about working in the mining and construction industries?
It's very impressive and amazing to bring a new solution in an industry that has no solution yet there. Drones are going to be used on every single mine, every single quarry, every single job site in the world, but the penetration rate so far is very, very low. And so we have an opportunity together with other companies today to establish the standards. And that's a unique opportunity for an entrepreneur.
I dig it.
Yeah.
So, la Fédération Professionnelle du Drone Civil, the FPDC, or the French Commercial Drone Association. Tell me a little bit about how you decided or got into founding that association.
So that was in 2013, 3 years and a half ago, where a few drone companies in France met each other, and especially Delertech, Redbird, and two other companies, a manufacturer and a service providers. We knew that the Civil Aviation Authority was to update the regulation, and we felt we had to kind of discuss together to make sure the new regulation was to be a good one and an appropriate one. So that's why we started the Fédération, the association, with 4 companies. It went well. We had 400 members in 18 months, gathering small companies, big companies, some research universities, and so on. And it's still going quite well. I'm not actively involved because I'm in the US, but I know every European country has an association, and they are discussing together to harmonize the European regulation.
Why is France so far ahead in regulations against, compared to the US, like things like beyond visual line of sight, which we kind of chatted about a little bit earlier. Why is that? Like, you always, since I lived in France, I kind of experienced this. A lot of times it's just not leading the way in technology. And how did this happen, or why did it happen? What do you think?
So, a few reasons. We may not lead the way in every technology, but we are good in aviation. We have a small company called Airbus in Toulouse.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
So we have some engineers in aviation and aerospace, some data engineers as well. We have Parrot, which is a French company that released the AR drone 6 years ago. So
the little iPhone controlled one. That was 6 years ago already.
6 years ago, you could fly it in your apartment. So the French people started to hear about drones at Christmas 6 years ago. That was early. And the opinion of the public was very positive about drones. So I think it was one of the reasons we had a nice development of the market, and of course the regulation, which was very well allowing beyond visual line of sight, operation over populated areas within cities. So it has been amazing how French drone companies have been testing use cases. I hope France will stay ahead in the drone industry, but what I'm seeing so far is a lot of other countries catching up, and the first one being the US with a very nice new Part 107 regulation, which will probably make the market explode.
What do you think about Part 107? What do you think about the allowances that they've kind of built in there? Things like the inspection provision there, so you can fly 400 feet above the top of a structure as long as you're within 400 feet of it. Some of the other ones, like allowing someone in a rural area to operate from a moving vehicle as long as they're not operating the moving vehicle and the drone at the same time. What do you think? How do you think the U.S., the FAA did in listening with the feedback?
Well, so far my understanding is that the Part 107 regulation is better than the French regulation, except this beyond visual line of sight capabilities. So I feel even though it has to be improved always and hopefully very frequently, but the US now has the perfect regulation to grow the market for at least the most simplest use cases.
Yes,
like agriculture, construction, maybe inspection as well, and a few other use cases.
What do you think? How important do you think beyond visual line of sight is? I mean, do you think that's the next, step that the U.S. could take in increasing capability?
That's one of the next step. I would say it's a very important next step, but I would say the market is not ready yet for beyond visual line of sight. Customers like utility companies, railway companies, power line companies are very interested in drone technologies, but not quite ready to buy and to scale. So I think one of the very important next step is traffic control for drones, or let's say sharing the traffic information. So some kind of unmanned traffic management system, which the US will invent first before Europe.
So are you planning on taking the Part 107 test when it's released?
I do, and since I'm a pilot already, I will probably go for the online test even faster, and it will be even easier.
Totally. And I noticed on the new website, I was just kind of searching around, it looks like you guys have 14 jobs on the website, so hiring and growing pretty aggressively. Maybe you can tell us a little bit, some people might be interested that are listening to the podcast and might want to get into the drone industry. What kind of people or positions are you looking for to join the Redbird team?
We are looking mostly for sales, marketing, and business development people. And we are mostly looking at hiring them in the US or in North America to catch up with the markets there. We still continue to invest on the software, of course, but that will be more people that will be hired in Paris, where the IT teams is still based and will be based.
Great. And last question. What is your favorite drone?
The favorite drone is the drone that the customer prefers. We've seen a lot of DJI data, obviously.
Yeah.
A mix of DJI drones like Phantom 3, 4, Inspire 1, Maistre now. But since our customer fly on larger areas like construction and mining sites, fixed wing drones have been used a lot, especially the EB drone, which we feel is a very nice drone. Also, I hope some let's say bigger drone will be released soon to cover even larger areas.
That's right. Yeah, and hopefully the regulations support that. One thing actually to note is, Drone Deploy just released a report, and it kind of goes along with, there's so many DJI drones that are out there and being operated because they're so easy to get into, and less sense fly, like EB, fixed wing kind of drones. But those are excellent platforms and should not be discounted. I think it's just a matter of the gateway drug being like the DJI Phantoms and things like that. They're just so affordable. So that's just a little point to note.
And the sensors are good enough for the accuracy the customer are looking for. And that's what the customer is waiting for, accuracy in X, Y, and Z, of course, and Z, of course.
That's right, yeah. If you add ground control points and you compare one drone to the next, one could cost $20,000, $30,000, the other could cost $1,500. And all of a sudden, if you're looking at accuracy, the values are going to be exactly the same.
Yep.
So, cool. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you would like, you can go ahead and follow Emmanuel on Twitter to keep up with his adventures on all the different mining and construction sites around the world at Emmanuel. That's EMMANUEL _2 and the letter M as in Mike. And then you can follow Redbird on Twitter at RedbirdHQ and check out their website, getredbird.com. You can follow Commercial Drones FM, the podcast, on Twitter at Drones Podcast and at Facebook.com/Drones Podcast. If you like what you're hearing, leave us a review on iTunes and subscribe. We'll be back with more episodes. Any last parting thoughts, Emmanuel?
Well, I'll be very much interested in meeting or discussing with any auditor, of course, especially the one that are living in San Francisco. That's a fantastic industry. Let's work together to make it even nicer and better. Thank you very much.
Cool. Well, go ahead and hit up Emmanuel if you're interested in getting in the drone industry. So thanks everyone for listening. We'll go ahead and catch you on the flip side. Cheers.
Ils donnent les mêmes conseils que mes parents. Fais ce que tu veux dans ta vie, mais surtout fais de l'argent. J'essaye de trouver l'équilibre. À quoi ça sert de préparer l'avenir si t'oublies de vivre?